Hey, Leo here, playing with buttons on his computer. I am back. Last time I was here, I did a live talking about Jeff Bezos's perspective about work life circle, right? And that was a pretty cool, um, I guess you say, extemporaneous presentation that I did. I was in a moment of studying some things and had some time to go live, so I did. And we'll have some much more regular live expressions and connections here going forward. But today is a very special day, in my opinion, for me, simply because I get to have a conversation with a very special lady who's been in HR for over 10 years and some unique experiences. She's had a career of working in project management, being able to support executives in a number of respects. And let me just put it to you this way: she's been able to get people to do work that some other people just have not been able to get people to do. She's been able to get employees to focus and to re-engage their commitment in unique ways that have been so profound. So I want to bring in my guest. We were able to have a number of guests doing the 9-day transformation challenge, and I enjoy being able to interview all those folks and get some perspective from the value that they offer. And now I get to interview this special lady here, Miss Sandra Grant.
Good
How are you?
morning. Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you this morning, Leo?
Very well, very well. So, Miss Sandra is one of those people that is a very funny cookie. Okay, let me just tell you like it is. She's somebody who is very passionate about what she does, and she enjoys doing it to the degree she has fun doing it when she does it. And so she has, as I said, been in HR for a number of years, and she's had a unique approach to how she engages people and provide solutions specifically for turnover and productivity loss among employees, and even frustrations among leadership in organizations. So we're going to have a conversation today talking about what one of the root causes is for turnover, right? And productivity loss among employees. And then we're going to really get into some specifics of how you can really get into the context of understanding how to identify this root cause and be positioned to eliminate it, once you know how to deal with that. And so let me tell you what this root cause is. And I'm going to throw some things over to Sandra because she going to offer some value to you guys. Trust me. So, Sandra, this word that you've given me with regard to this root cause is other people itis. And you have a question that you ask people when you first start talking about this in your presentation. What is that question that you ask people?
Do I have other people itis? Do I have it? Do I have, you have bronchitis, laryngitis?
Come on now.
Do I have other people itis? Do I have it?
Other people itis. Okay, let me go ahead and ask the question, because you said it's a question we have to ask ourselves. So I'm going to be submissive to the instructions and say, do I have other people itis? And when I ask myself that question, immediately what happens is there's a thought that comes to mind. It's like, okay, do I have other people itis? Like, what is other people itis? So before we answer that, there's a story that you told me about, a coworker who came to you and asked you a unique question. And, it seems that this story happens to be pretty engaging with regard to the connection to other people itis. So share with us that story.
Okay, it was one of those mornings. When I tell you I just got to work, I just got to work. And what happened was um, my coworker, she came in my office and she said, Sandra, I know you're busy. I know, and I'm dealing with a resignation letter already that was under my door when I got to work.
Huh.
And so I just made my coffee because
Mm.
I knew it was going to be a long day. So she said, I'm not going to keep you long. I promise I'm not going to keep you long. I said, well, what is it? What's wrong? She said, I have 3 pictures I need you to look at because I have a presentation to do. So I have 3 pictures I need for you to look at. I said, okay. And she said, when you look at it, she said, can you kind of pick which one you would choose? So she chose, I saw a picture of a house. I saw a picture of a car, and I saw a picture of a key. And so as I'm sipping my coffee, she asked me, she said, Sandra, which one would you pick? I said, well, so I picked the key. And she looked at me real strange. She said, Sandra, why would you pick the key? I said, well, if I pick the house, I just have a key to a house, which is a beautiful house. If I pick the car, I would just have the key to a car. It's a wonderful car. But if I chose the key, I could have the house, the car, and whatever else there is that key can open. And she was like, Sandra, she said, I really honestly didn't think about it like that. I did not think about it like that. She said, thank you so much, because I would have probably chose the house. I said, no, but I said, but if you get that key, you can have the house, the car, and everything else that's behind it. So that's how
Mm.
that story came about. But she was so appreciative that she looked, she valued my insight on that.
So what I get from that is how this could potentially, excuse me, how this could potentially connect with other people itis is, first of all, how other people itis even came about from your perspective was basically how you were looking at it. There's a way that you are looking at turnover and productivity loss that's very interesting. And so there's this thought process of, when you look at those 3 pictures, it's about how you look at it that determines how you respond to it. And in the same way, when it comes to turnover and productivity loss, especially related to other people itis, it's really a matter of how you see it, right?
Exactly, exactly. You are definitely on point with that. It's all a perception.
Okay.
Everybody have their thoughts and everything, but it's really about the perception of how you see things.
Hmm. Okay. So let me get into my notes here, because you gave me some good notes with regard to this other people itis. So before we even talk about what is other people itis, one of the things I got in my notes is this perspective of the definition of other people itis is from not the Webster, not the concordance, but the Grantionary. What's the
Yes.
Grantionary?
Um, the Grantionary is it's my definitions and my words. Like I said previously, you're not going to see it in uh, a Webster. You're not going to see it in concordance. So I know you all are saying, well, what in the world? So I created the Grantionary.
Come on.
So the Grantionary is my dictionary, and it gives
Come
me the
on.
definitions of words that I use that is not in the Webster or the concordance.
Oh man. So let me give y'all this definition of this Grantionary definition of other people itis. It is Grantionary, from the Grantionary definition, other people itis is worrying about others and
Mhm.
their contributions instead of focusing on one's individual productivity and contribution. That should just be a mic drop right there.
Yeah, drop the
That
mic.
should just be, and and so in other words, the main thing that I hear in this definition is that when team members or even leaders are worrying, and generally worry is connected with others
Mhm.
rather than focus that should be on one's individual contribution. Right? Talk
Yes.
about that. Talk about the difference in worrying about others and focusing on one's own value and contribution.
Well, when you worry, that's think about it. That's violent, but when your focus is valuable, so you're using 2 V's: violence and value. So when you look at it and you talk about it and you try to understand, just understand the two words. Worry is violent, but
Hmm.
when you focus, it's more valuable.
Ooh, hold on. Let's tease that out for a moment. Let's tease that out. You said when you worry,
Mm-hmm.
it's violent,
Mm-hmm.
but when you focus,
Mm-hmm.
it's valuable. So
Yes.
what you're telling me is when it comes to turnover and productivity loss,
Mm-hmm.
when there's worry, especially about other people, there's this violence that's being infused into the environment that's destructive to the culture.
Yes.
Oh, talk
It's
about that.
very destructive. Um, if you look at it, it's if everyone would just worry, if they're so worried about what's going on, what other people are doing, you're not contributing. Matter of fact, you're taking away.
Mm,
So if you just focus on yourself, you'll be able to increase your value, your productivity, and it's just so much things that's wrapped around those two words.
mm. Okay, so interestingly, there's this dynamic. You talked about takeaway.
Uh-huh.
So you have this equation that you use,
Uh-huh.
and the equation is in the form of a division problem. And
Uh-huh.
it starts with productivity divided by, I think it's other people itis equals turnover. I think I might have lost her a little bit there. Y'all give us a second here. I think there might have been an issue with her connection. Let me talk a little bit until we get Sandra back. So, one of the things that she shared with me about this concept, and I guess I should take the lead on it. I'm a little bit of a math guy, so it's something to share. She has this equation that says productivity divided by other people itis equals turnover. And so let me talk a little bit about that, more so from the logic of a how would I put it? Algebra aspect. I won some math competitions when I was younger, and was in calculus early in high school. So I think I can help you a little bit. There's some statistics, etc. Here's what we want to look at it. When you think about a division problem, there's this reality of productivity being something that's expected, right? But when you have something that comes into the picture from a division standpoint, it seeks to break down your divisor, right? Uh, it is the substance of productivity that begins to be disrupted when something dividing by it comes in. So when other people itis, which is worrying about other people rather than focusing on your own identity, your own value, your own contribution, your own role, your own expectations, it changes the game for you. And so here's what Sandra has been sharing with me behind the scenes is that other people itis in its violence. You heard her talking about, worry is violence, right? So other people itis with the basis of worry, when you get violence in the picture of that other people itis, what happens is there's this aspect of destruction and breaking down productivity. So look at it this way. If you have 10 amount of productivity, just as a number, that productivity is represented by the number 10, and you take 5 aspects of other people itis, just 5, right? You take that 5, you're going to divide your productivity by that other people itis, and the answer is going to end up being 2. So you go from having 10 to 2, and that's how you get to turnover, where it's like people just leaving, people just don't have no concern. You get less productivity, you get less value, you get less contribution when you got other people itis in the picture. And so one of the things I love that Sandra has really been talking about, especially as it pertains to, that illustration of the three people, I'm sorry, the three pictures. And I think we got her back. The three pictures is in those three pictures, you can see things any way you want to, but there's a way to see it that's more valuable than any other. We got Sandra back. Let's get her back in here. Okay, great, great.
I'm sorry.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
sometimes this technology be crazy.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
we got you back on another device. So let me switch you here. There we go, so that we can have you. So I kind of share with the folks just to give you some update that that equation. I kind of gave them some of the 10. I said, I'm probably the one to talk about it anyway, winning math competitions and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. You the math king. Yes. You are the
So
math king.
so talk about this. I talked about the equation already. So how violent, because that's that word you were using. How violent is other people itis to productivity and therefore retention and really being profitable in an organization?
Well, you talking about, wow, if you guys just really think about it. When you worry and you're focused on everything but what you're supposed to focus on, that's you set yourself for failure because of the fact that you're not being productive.
Mm.
And when you're not being productive, guess what? Nobody wins.
Oh wow, come on, talk about that.
Nobody wins. But if you worry, you're asking yourself, number one, it's like, I'm just sitting here, just spinning your wheels. You're just really thinking about trying to figure out, how can I fix this? What can I do? And your mind just start racing and racing and racing and racing. And then you have questions on top of questions on top of questions that you feel that you don't have answers to.
I got a question for you. We've
Uh-huh.
talked a lot about your experiences in a lot of different HR roles, but one of the unique environments you've been able to be in is the healthcare environment. You've been a part of assisted living organizations, worked with nurses assistants, you've worked with administrators, you've worked with support teams. Like you've had a unique interaction because you've worked with people in the traditional roles and then you've worked with people in the medical roles, and it was all meshed in. And I remember you were telling a story in a session that you were in talking to a group, and you talked about, for example, the dynamics of nurses at their nurses stations and the specific logistics that they have to deal with regarding having food and all that kind of stuff. And you talked about this one story where there was a lady who really was not given regard to her role, focused on what she was supposed to do, right? And she had food at the nurses station, and as a result of her having food at the nurse's station, she ended up not being there anymore. And so it's like, okay, you're a specialist in retention, but
Mhm.
there's a level where retention don't work and you got to remove some people because, as you were saying, they're not focused on what they need to focus on. So kind of use that example with regard to that nurse's station. Like, how important is it for a nurse at the nurse's station to really focus on their value and contribution and not be in the realm of other people either?
Okay. Well, she had a spread like she was at home and she had it laid out. The bag was tore open and everything. With me, you would have thought that she was at the house for to kick up her legs and watch a movie and eat all at the same time.
Wow.
But in the healthcare arena, safety and health and making sure that everybody is okay and clean and everything else. And I was like, why do you have this food open? the nurses station. Number one, that means the residents are not being taken care of. Number two, you're talking about safety because you're going from hand to hand. So you're going from eating to going to take care of a resident. That's a big no-no.
Mm.
And they really, their focus is, well, I didn't get a chance to eat, or I didn't get a chance to do this, I didn't get a chance to do that. So Sandra, they asked me, do my brain never rest? It really don't. I try, but it don't work that much for me. And so I really truly try. And so we did have to let her go because of the fact that you're at a nursing home. You're sitting there, everything just spread out like you're at home, and it becomes such a safety hazard and health hazard for the residents. And our focus is numero uno was the residents.
Mm.
So what I did, I thought of something real clever. So I got a smack and snack cart. And what I did was I would fill it full of cookies, chips, crackers, sodas, waters, juice. And what I would do, I would just push the cart around. And for those that didn't get a chance to eat or didn't get a chance to really sit down and take a break, guess what? I turned around and I just pushed the cart around the facility. And then what I would do before I would leave, or during the day, I would order them pizza or something like that, and then have nurses just take turns making sure that they're at the station. So it's a way to do it. But we can't sit there and act like we're at Luby's and sit there and decide we want to, that can't happen. So we didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice.
You said something about that lady, and that was one of the examples of other people-itis that's not really obvious, because it seems like she was really focused on herself, right?
Exactly.
And so really we got to see that at the core of other people-itis is not just focus or worry about others. It's more so the depth of worry, because I saw two things. One, she did worry about other people, because she said, well, Miss Sandra, technically, why are you worried about me?
Exactly.
Why are you thinking about me? It's like, no, Miss Sandra is focusing on her duty. Miss Sandra is focusing on her value and her contribution, because she's putting you in remembrance of what's expected of you. You are worried about people watching you. You are worried about people, interrupting your food time when it's not your food time, interrupting what you want to do in this moment. And so let's talk about some of the symptoms of other people-itis. And this is important because we're talking about other people-itis as a root cause to turnover and productivity loss. But how do you recognize the symptoms so to go deal with the root problem of other people-itis? What are some of those symptoms? And I have one, and one of them is not what you have in your notes that you gave me. One of them is, well, does your brain ever work or stop working? Come on, talk about some of the symptoms. Talk about some of the symptoms.
Wow. Okay. So, when you sit there and you try to, you get there, and sometimes what team member is going to come, what they're going to talk about, you already know that this team member is, it's the same one, so you have that one that's every time you turn around, you have one. So you talking about complainers, whiners,
complainers,
the needy, the know-it-alls. They know everything that go on in every building, every office, every, on the floor, from the front to the back. And they want to be that. You got the gossipers, the ones that always want to give their 2 weeks notice because of the fact that they can't have their way, or it's something that you may have said that they didn't like.
Wow.
And so I was so sitting there. Sometimes you have to remember too that sometimes all of that information is in one person.
Wow. All those symptoms.
All that information is in one person.
All those symptoms. Wow.
And so you have to kind of sit there and wonder, but you have to you know what? While you sitting here talking to me, have you really focused on what you're supposed to be doing? Because while you're sitting talking to me, guess what? You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Wow.
So, you get those that ghost, you get those that call in every other day. They don't have a 4 tires on their car, but they had 6 flats in 1 week. So you could go.
Six flats in
So,
1 week.
and so you just have to kind of like, oh. So guess what we have to do? We have to change that focus to value.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. We got a few more minutes, and then we gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
What is the way? So you got the symptoms. Let me give you some other symptoms. You know, why didn't I get picked? This place sucks. It's not my job. That's not fair. Okay, all of those things. Mess makers, tattletales, and you could just go on with that, right?
The list goes on and
the,
on.
the
Yes.
list goes on. So a person comes into your office. You're the executive, you're the manager, you're the HR person, and you hear the symptoms of other people itis. Now you have a recognition that when you hear these symptoms, you know this is other people itis talking. So how
Yes.
do you cut that? How do you shut down that other people itis? What is it that you tell people to do to shut down other people itis?
You know,
Say, yeah, I want to
I
know.
see,
I want to know.
I see me.
Hold on. Say that again.
I, so you're talking about yourself. See, so you focused on yourself. Me.
Oh,
Wait. Okay, you look kind of confused.
the,
Let me help you. Can I help you out a little bit?
give me an example.
Okay. So you ever go to like a gas station, or you
Yeah, the
go
convenience
to,
store.
yeah, convenience store, or going through a drive-through, especially Burger King. That's one of my favorites.
Shame on you.
And they they sell you the ices.
I see.
Icy.
Oh, I see.
Icy. So what can you tell me? What do you think that icy does when you drink it?
Man, I remember when I had me one, it was nice and cool. It was flavorful. The color was very pleasing to the eyes. It was refreshing. Like it's
So
I see.
me,
I see me.
I see me.
Okay, so are you telling me refresh yourself, refocus yourself,
Refresh.
oh come
Refocus.
on. So let me just see if I get this correctly. So what you're saying is I got an employee that comes into my office
Uh-huh.
and they're talking about other people, right? They are all in other people itis.
Mm-hmm.
All I have to do as the manager, as the executive, as the leader is to say why they're saying it. I see me.
I see me.
And it's going to shut down that other people itis to where here's the picture I have in my head. The employee is very likely, if they've never heard this before, they're going to be shocked, like, huh? But if they've heard this before, they know you're giving them an indication that they are suffering from other people
Other
itis.
people. There you
And that
go.
what you're doing as the employer is to refocus them and redirect them in the area of value and not violence.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
There you
Okay.
go.
So listen. Here's what I want to do. We gonna have to close it down. We can't even continue now because we run out of time. But listen, here's what I want you all to do. If you're watching this, I want you to like, share, comment. I want you to share in the comments what benefit this other people itis perspective not only has had just an awareness, but how it can change the game for you using the solution of I see me to shut down this other people itis perspective, how it'll change the game for you. So we're going to show you some ways that you can connect with Sandra in the very near future. She's going to have some community opportunities that's going to be available. But listen, I know about myself. I have enjoyed having this conversation and I would love to have it again. And so we're going to plan to do it again, and we're going to do it again on these different platforms that you may be watching it from so that you can enjoy this other people itis perspective from the Grantionary and then be able to position yourself to leverage this and be able to move in the direction to experience the value that you need to experience. Listen, we got to get out of here. Sandra, you got some final words?
Yes, I just know, focus. Don't worry. Worry. Remember, worry is violent. If nothing else, focus is valuable. So we
Come
want to
on now.
not worry.
Hey, you all heard it from Miss Sandra Grant, the specialist in other people itis, and being able to give you the I see me strategy. You all take care, and we'll see you on the next side. You hear me now?
All right. I'll be good.